Welcome to another episode of Redesigning Your Relationships Live. I'm your host, Giovanna Burgess-White, with my co-host.
Hello, I am Yvette Valdenegro.
And we are back with another little 4-part series. We're excited. You guys love them. We love them. They're short and sweet and to the point. But before we get into part 1 of the Excuse Me series, if this is the first time you're watching, welcome. We go live every Wednesday, and we have a podcast drop every single Friday. So if you want to watch us, you're more than welcome to. We have an amazing YouTube channel that you can watch all the replays. And if you just want to listen, we are streamed on all podcast platforms. We are relationship coaches, and we love helping women with the relationship with self, time, and money, which gives a ripple effect to all other relationships in their life.
Okay, and listen, I'm just gonna go for it. We obviously are always very raw, authentic, real. We speak from our hearts. We always share what we want to share, and everybody who watches knows that this is live and unscripted. And you are not seeing double, but you are seeing double because this is real. What Gio and I do on a daily basis is real. And if you don't believe it, here is another example. We both got up this morning, hadn't even really talked. We text this morning, but we didn't talk to each other. We know we know what we're talking about today, that at least the content. And obviously, like every woman, you go through your closet and you go, what am I going to wear? Right. So I go to my closet. This is what I pick. Gio goes to her closet, and that's what she picks. And I am looking at everybody in the face when I say this. We did not plan this. We didn't talk about it, but I am freaking out in a good way because this is such an indication of where we are in our personal lives, with each other, with our business, with coaching, just the synchronicity of life right now, being in the moment and really listening to your inner voice speak to you and guide you. And this is just an example. So I'm excited today because this topic, which I love because it's like, excuse me, or excuse me, or excuse me, however you would like to excuse yourself, came to us a couple months ago, and it's kind of been on the back burner. But I think it's going to be an amazing series because all of us, me included, especially when you hear these statistics, need to stop excusing ourselves. And we live in such a world where we're excusing ourselves all the time. So it's a 4-part series. The first part is just going to be about what the heck do we mean when we say, excuse me, excuses. So
I love the first photo. It's like so sassy. Well, us, we look great, obviously. And if you're thinking about it, I know our hair doesn't even look the same. We don't look the same. It's okay. New photos coming soon. Brand new shoot coming soon for our next season. But yes, excuse me, part 1 out of 4. It's a mini series. We're gonna talk about it, and you know how we are with words. We're all about what does excuse mean? It's a reason for which an individual does or does not do something. So simple, right? And after this 4-part series, everyone's going to be raising their hand. I mean, I really try not to, but we're going to go through the real examples on how we use excuses. So next, do you want to go? Or you want me to go?
No, go ahead.
So excuse as a noun, a defense of some offensive behavior. For example, a note of explaining an absence. Verb, some failure to keep a promise, grant exception or release, serve as a reason or cause or justification, defend, explain, clear away, or make excuses by reasoning, ask for permission to be released from an engagement, overlook, or make allowances for. I can't say that word.
Lenient.
Oh, lenient. I'm wearing my glasses and I didn't even read that. Okay.
Those are all forms of excuses. Everything from this simple. Do you remember when you're in grade school and you have to ask your mom to write you an excuse for your absence, right? And so you're like, dear school, right? Everything from that it's a justification for. We use so many excuses to justify why we are excused. It's insane. And the statistics behind, and it's funny because there's going to be a lead up, I feel like.
Well, before you go to the statistics, like
Yeah, go ahead.
everything from like the first slide to the set, it's like all like negative, right? Like everything's just like oh, excuse me, like ew, I don't like it. But there are other reasons, like an excuse, an excused absence, like that's a real like a for real excuse. But I would think the reason we're doing this 4-part series is how we as women use excuses for everything. And I feel like, and we're gonna talk about this, it's all always it is always negative. It's never in a good way. And we make excuses for life. We make excuses for time. We make excuses for not being able to do things, or we use other people to put in like, oh, I can't do this. I was, I overscheduled myself, but then they use the excuse of their children or their job. So it's just one of those things that I'm like, there's no positive definition of an excuse.
And it's everywhere. Okay. I think because I feel like I've been so acute to excuses just because I knew we were going to be talking about this. But I started to, in the past, really seriously, no joke, in the past 3 months have been noticing my own excuses and, dear God, the excuses that I make for my kids. So now that I'm like more aware of, wait, that's an excuse, like in myself first, right? And then I started to notice, gosh, when I say things, I'm really excusing my kids too, which then it made me feel like as a mom, like, oh my gosh, have I been teaching you really bad, poor behavior as far as like, I'm excusing myself and then I'm excusing you, and because I'm excusing you, now you feel like you can excuse yourself. Like it's just this horrible chain that just keeps going. But the reality is we all do it. We all stink and do it. And when you start to be more aware of what an excuse is and that you're doing it, then you have to really go back to the why.
Yeah.
But holy God. And I really just want to share this huge excuse in the very beginning. And I didn't write this on our stats. We as Americans in a whole year, well, I'm going to ask you, Gio, how many excuses do you think in a year the average person uses? I mean, just out of your
Here, I'm gonna say 75.
in a year?
Is that not enough? I'm saying no. Is that enough?
No, not even close. Well, and the statistic is so overwhelming. You go, what?
Wait, what? Okay, because I'm thinking that's like 4 or 5 a month, right? Okay, how many? Okay, tell me now. Now I'm worried.
Okay, from small to big, like any excuse, right? Because and this is what we're going to in our 4-part series, we're going to talk about an excuse is an excuse. Whether you're like, oh, I didn't get up this morning because I wasn't feeling well because I'm getting older, my aches and pains in my body, to a huge excuse, right? So, but excuses are damaging to you, no matter how big or small. It's kind of like a white lie.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad we're bringing it up because in my mind I'm thinking 75 and you're going to tell me something completely different.
Oh my God. The average American has 2,200 excuses a year.
Oh my God.
I know, baffling. Now I did the math. That is 183 per month, 6 per day,
oh my God,
and 1 every 2 hours. So I literally this morning was like, okay, let me just think about my own day, right? You get up. What is I still am working through this, not getting on my phone, right? But I got on my phone and I excused myself for getting on my phone. I hadn't even been up for 2 hours and I excuse number 1.
wow.
So when you really stop to think about how we're justifying or saying being lenient with ourselves, whatever it was with those
wait, let me go back up to him. Hold on, let me bring it.
failures to make promises.
Yeah.
All of these we're defending. We feel like we need to clear in our brains. It's almost like here's
the exception to the rule. Everyone's like, oh, this one's the exception to the rule. I'm like,
yeah. Here comes a situation in our life all the time. Like, ooh, just as easy as I'm getting up. Oh, let me grab my phone. Oh, remember you said you weren't going to do that. Oh, but yeah, you know what? I have a couple minutes. It's okay. Excuse. I just made it's so easy and we do it all the time without realizing. So let's just play that forward. Yvette excuses herself. She spends 10 extra more minutes on her phone than she was supposed to be. So then when it comes to like, I go and I do my stretching and my yoga, and today I was doing a little bit of weights and Pilates. Well, then I don't have that extra 10 minutes. So now I just robbed myself of time that I actually, if you really asked me, Yvette, what's more important to you, 10 minutes on your phone or stretching and Pilates, right?
Or the ripple effect of like 10 minutes of being actually on time to somewhere that you're going later on, or 10 minutes to go to bed earlier. So yes, you know me in time. I'm like,
Okay, so do that math.
yeah.
10 minutes. Let's just do 10 minutes and let's just say 3 times a week. That's 30 minutes times 4. What is that? 120 minutes a month. 120 minutes a month that I could be putting towards Pilates and stretching. Now, every woman knows 120, that's 2 hours. That's 2 classes that I just robbed myself because I excused myself that just that. So anyway, when you start realizing the simple things, and that's why I love that this is a simple excuse all the way to the big excuses, because even little excuses add up to big differences, changes, lack of growth, however you want to say that. It really does make a difference.
Okay, before you go back to we're going to go to these stats. Tell me, at 2,200 a year, what was the breakdown? Because I need people to hear this one more time.
Okay, 183 a month.
Okay.
Which is 6 a day and 1 every 2 hours.
Oh my God. Maybe we need to add that like on our daily tracker. Things are like excusing a situation. Like, I guess I think I'm thinking of like the big picture. I'm not thinking of the small picture, but we'll move on because there's 4 parts. But yes, you guys heard that right. 6 a day. That's insane.
It's insane. It's crazy. But again, we think, I don't know. I just think like, we just literally think, oh, no, I don't do that. Yes, we do. And the reason we wanted to discuss this, because I see it in my life. I see it in other people's lives. And like we just went through you think that it's just a little thing, but that little thing over time is affecting you in a greater way that you are not aware of.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Okay. So stats. I'm going to say 1. 2 and 5 people each month make excuses for boyish somethings. Okay. So we're for real.
Wait, say that again because your internet went in and out.
2 and 5 people each month, because we don't have this on the slide, but I'm going to say it. 2 people each month make excuses for boyish something they shouldn't buy. Did you type that right? What? Yes.
I don't know, but basically they're buying stuff that they shouldn't be.
Oh yeah, but they're making an excuse. And I'm going to say that also for people who book over travel, or for people who don't invest in themselves, like vice versa. Like when we have our clients who are like, oh, I just really can't, I don't have time and I can't afford to invest in myself, but they'll go buy the stuff on Amazon, or they'll go do the Zara sale. We all know that. And so like, it's crazy how there's always an excuse for either way. But yes, it was just typed up wrong, but for buying something that they shouldn't buy. Are you still on mute? No. Okay. 36 make excuses for binge watching. I think that's a huge one. Huge. That's like, talk about like when, like emotional and like like when you're stressed and it's kind of, I hate it, like a cop out. For me, it's a reward because I have a show that I want to watch, and then I have a show but I remember back in the day, that was my way to just go, I'm done. I'm going to get a bottle of rosé, and I'm going to go. And man, talk about being tired and even more stressed. It didn't make the problems go away. 34% of people make excuses for not cleaning once a month.
I think that's an easy one. That's such a, I don't have time. Oh, that's just too hard. Oh my God. If I start here, I'm going to go here. If I start in this room, then yes, absolutely. But I will say, I kind of laughed at that one because I'm like, well, some people don't even want to make that a priority. So it's like, that is an easy excuse. Not my priority. I'm going to do it.
And then this one, the highest one, 49%. I'm going to go 50. I'm going to round up. 50% makes excuses saying they're too tired. Well, hello. Yes. Not enough time, being too tired, always being exhausted, because we just gave the example of the 10 minutes on the phone. We all know, if you've listened to us and watched us, our relationship with our phone is the most toxic, and it's the one that takes the most time from us. Like, it really does rob us from time. Sad. It really, really does. Like, even when we did the Haven, and people were like, oh my God, but like, time did not exist. And we never really ran overtime. We didn't even know, we didn't have a timer, but it was just like, not being distracted and having the notification on your watch, like who's texting, who's calling, and not having your phone, not having like your laptop. It's almost like, oh my God, the discipline that you would need just for not doing the tenants. Now we're not telling you not to have your phone all day long, but like little by little, because the 2 hours a month that you can use for anything. And that's, I think, low end. I do feel like people spend hours on their phone in the morning or the scrolling before bed, which we know those statistics are horrible because you don't get real sleep. Like you should be off of your phone. I think the statistics say like 90 minutes before you even go to bed should be like the last time that you're even on your phone. And we all know we're like, oh, I'm gonna just take the notifications and then just Instagram and I'm just gonna. So, rough.
I know. I think this is going to be really good because it's so dang relatable, and I think we're going to come up with 5. But anyway, as we move forward, we're really going to talk about like who's making these excuses and why, right?
Yes.
How do we know if we truly have a problem with it? Because that's important. I think we excuse ourselves that we're making excuses. Oh, that's not me. Gio and Yvette are not talking about me. I don't make excuses.
Well, I'm gonna go back and just start tracking mine. Like I feel like I didn't realize that we were doing that many. So
Yeah.
this is just really good for us, like in general, because
Yeah.
teach what we do, but it's everything from little to big. So
Yeah. And hopefully, just like myself, our listeners will start to be more aware. So I've been like, it's like comes out of my mouth and I go, it's like such an excuse. But that last slide that you just had up.
yes.
Okay. So this is the whole thing, which is so important for us, for people that are listening. Excuses rob you, me, everyone of personal growth. So you're really just stealing from yourself. You're not giving yourself the best options. You're not giving yourself the best way of doing something. It's like time. I mean, everything's like you're really just robbing yourself of everything and growth. And which is interesting because when we talk to a lot of women or actually everybody, and we'll say like, we'll talk about self-care or like, what are you doing for you? It's like, well, that's the excuse. That's when the excuse is time. I don't have money. You don't understand my situation. But in all reality, like what I really want all of us to start seeing is that we're really stealing from ourselves, and we don't want people to steal from us. Then why are we allowing ourselves to do it to ourselves?
Well, we'll be back next week with part 2. Remember, it's a 4-part series. We are so thankful for you to be watching live. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. You can also ask questions in the replay. And if you're already going like stressing out like I was, like I'm like, oh, I'm already stressing. Just book a virtual consult with us, and we can really help you with any of this or any relationship that you want to talk about in your life. So